Hey, I'm TOKiMONSTA, and I'm here in the studio about to make some beats. It's hard to say what really defines my sound. I would say it's somewhere under the umbrella of electronic music, dance music, but also very much hip hop, R&B, soul music as well. I think going into the sketch, I really wanted to have a very simple setup with just native Ableton plugins, as well as using Komplete, just so everyone can see what a simple process is like, and it doesn't have to feel really complicated. Typically, when I start a track, I don't have a lot of set rules. There, I start with a melody, I start with drums, and then the second deciding factor is what BPM range am I going to work in. So I already have one sample library open here. Now just cutting drums to new MIDI track, slice to new MIDI tracks, do some exploration. Sick. Okay. There's already swing brought in because there's a live player that probably played this. Okay, so we have like a really rough cut up drum break now, and I think I want to work on chords. I'm gonna go through the search window and just look through sounds. See what already has some chords. Let's try this one out. So a lot of times the sounds themselves are very inspiring, so I'll just go through lots of patches, and I'll even dial them in more later. Okay, so I like this sound. The LFO is like not in the right BPM, so I need some adjust. What's great is when you're working with things that already have like pre-made chords, you can always extract the chords later via just recording them to audio, especially when you're using something like contacts. So I can play these pre-made chords, flatten it to audio, and then pull the keys and the notes out of it, and then you have more wiggle room. But this is a really good starting point. So let's go. So I see 3 chords I like, and then I want to add different notes, so I'm gonna have to do. Bounce track in place, and we'll convert harmony to the MIDI track. So it's never perfect when you do this, but it will get us roughly where we need to be. Okay, not bad. Also, I want to mention when I start ideas, it's all about getting as many of the ideas down, and a lot of the refinement is not going to happen now. So if it sounds rough, that's okay. And to say, I'm starting to get kind of inspired by this sort of soulful neo soul vibe. That's probably where I'm going to go with these chords. Cute. Okay. I have my chords now. I want to, I'm going to replace them with something that sounds a little bit fuller. And I think I'm going for Rhodes. I really love the marriage of old sounds and really full and heartfelt kind of instruments. Rhodes is one of my favorites. It's actually my Fender Rhodes was the first kind of nice piece of, I guess, equipment or instrument that I ever purchased as an adult once they started, I guess, surviving off of music. And I still have like a really soft spot for it. When I'm not at home and I'm not with my studio, I still like the sound. So what I'll do is I'll use a placeholder sound. So I probably pick something from a contact library. I like this one. This is nice and full. So that's even a good example of what I just did there, where I guess in my head, I thought something that sounded more rolled off and crunchier and low end with the Rhodes was the sound I was going for. But once I started playing it, I realized I needed it to sound brighter. And we just adjust as we go, you know? Let's make it sound a little bit more natural. No notes are played all at the same time. I don't know why I'm like this, but sometimes it helps to do some like sequencing, minor sequencing. After I have some loops, so I have an idea of how I want to bring things in. I love creating dynamic sections, and so that the drum isn't just looping the same. And initially what I'll do is stuff like this. I'll just cut the drums out so it creates a little bit of movement throughout the track. And later what this cut will be might turn into maybe a drum roll, or I'll go in and just re-edit so the drums do something different there. But the easiest thing to do while I'm just nailing ideas down is just to know that there's nothing there to create a break, and I can put something there later. What would be a fun thing to make bass on? So I just inputted a new mini track. I'm going to drop Absynth in there. Let's go bass. Let's do a sub bass. Not that one. So I have pretty low bass in there right now. I am not the strongest bass player, so I typically tend to do a lot of like sustained bass notes because that's what works for me. Because I also like bass. So if I'm having a hard time hearing sub basses, that's because the notes are not as clear. I'll like knock them off a few octaves just so I can hear them better and make sure I'm playing the notes in key. Okay, perfect. So the notes I played high, I dropped them back. They sound great. So this is the most rudimentary version, right? We have drums, we have chords, we have bass, and we have a synth that gives it movement. And now it's about adding layers to create more sequencing within the track. So this is like a really good start. What I think would make me feel good if I wanted to feel more complete is layer some kicks. And I think that'll make it sound nice. That's good for now. Should give me a good feeling. Okay, so I found a lead I like, and I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the chords earlier because I think I want to build on this. I'm going to, since it's monophonic, I'm gonna just extract the melody from the loop. Now I have workable MIDI, and from here we're gonna drop in a synth. Let's go back to Contact. I'm a big Contact fan. Everything in one place, and then you can use, I know which library I want to use. Do Lo-Fi Glow. I think this is in a good spot. I think there's these are like great bones to work on and build on. All the essentials, you know, a lead, a bass, some drums, and some chords, and from there, the options and opportunities are endless. So with my process, I love creating a lot of different ideas, and maybe I'll make something that stops around here and compile a bunch of these type of similar ideas. And there's a day where I want to finish them. I'll go back and be like, hey, what do I want to finish working on today? And I'll pick through some of these little loose ideas. Yeah, that was so much fun today, working on a track and showing everyone how I start my ideas and that process behind it. I hope it made it more clear for other people who want to borrow some of my tactics so that they can create amazing new music for themselves.